Hello and welcome to our latest edition of the Business Spotlight interview series. I'm delighted to be joined today by Emma Garwood, founder of The Misses. Emma, it's lovely to have you with us. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for your time today, Jenny.
Good stuff. So why don't you start off, Emma, just by telling us a little bit about what it is you do and what's involved in The Misses.
Sure. So I started The Misses about 5.5 years ago now. I was ex-print, ex-radio, that kind of industry. And I had the desire to go out, the desire and the energy to go it alone. And I started what I sometimes call a micro agency, sometimes call a creative consultancy. I honestly think we're still growing into what we are. But essentially, we offer marketing services, so design, web development, things like that. But we try to take a consultative approach. So rather than be very prescriptive in terms of what we offer, we have a chat. We talk to businesses, we find out what they actually need, and we try to think of it strategically in our response in what we offer them.
Fantastic. And so what sort of businesses do you work with?
Got a broad range, which is lovely. Some local, some national, couple international, which is always interesting. I love working with brands that have real heritage, but that perhaps are struggling to translate that heritage in a digital world. You know, it can seem very different. I think you could probably group my clients. They're all people who are brilliant at what they do, but maybe they don't necessarily know how to market what they do. So I love helping brands translate themselves, but also lots of startups. I mean, we're in a very fertile time for startups, which is really exciting. And I think that again, brilliant idea. Maybe they've got some branding, maybe they haven't, but they've got that idea and they need to help. They need the help in communicating what it is that they offer. Yeah, so I'd say those are our splits, really.
That's fantastic. So quite a varied range of businesses that you're working with then. And when you think about running the business, what is it that you enjoy the most then?
Oh, I love the bit at the beginning. So when I first meet a business and I either find out what their brilliant idea is, if they're just starting out, or I hear about maybe some of the challenges that they're having. So maybe they don't know how to translate themselves digitally. Maybe they're very scared of going on Instagram or something like that. They usually have a business problem. It could be as simple as a drop in sales or trying to reach new audiences. I love that bit, that kind of fact find at the beginning. It feels like a huge puzzle to me, lots of pieces. And I need to think about how to put it all together in a way that's going to, make a difference, make a real impact to their business, to their bottom line usually. We growing the relationship that from there is fantastic. But the most exciting part is always that first chat, I think, for me.
That's wonderful. And so when you're putting all those puzzle pieces together, what have you found that you've learned about the best way to approach doing that when you've got a new business that comes to you and it's all brand new?
I think what's most important to me is not, I kind of alluded to this, not being prescriptive in what I think people need. So rather than say, here's our services and take social media, for example, rather than say, we will give you 2 posts a week forevermore, it's actually understanding their whole business and how do they have the resource, for example, to cope with increased leads. So I try to look at the business holistically. I've even worked with businesses on their processes. So looking at order management, for example. I'm a bit of a nerd at heart. So I'll look at each aspect of their business to make sure that there's no other friction. Because you can imagine, do the marketing well and the business is going to get busier. I like to make sure that they've got the whole infrastructure there to cope with the increased demand, really.
Amazing. So all of that learning all coming together, and the business has also been running for a number of years now. Have you noticed any change in the types of things that businesses are bringing to you coming out of, I suppose, a turbulent time with the economy, but also coming out of the pandemic as well?
I mean, I think it is a very fertile time. As I said, it's really exciting time for business. People are thinking about their own careers in different ways. Lots of people starting businesses, so I get to have lots of those good chats of, tell me your idea. But the principles are still the same, I think, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic. My job, I think we overcomplicate marketing sometimes when we think about the amount of channels that we have nowadays. The options are dizzying, but essentially it's putting the right message to the right people at the right time. There's nothing more complicated than that. We like to overcomplicate it, I think, sometimes, especially with the new platforms that are available to us. But essentially, if we get that right, that's been that's been marketing over, not just decades, but hundreds of years. It's putting your product in front of the right people and telling them the right thing. So I'd say the ways, the methods, the platforms have changed, but essentially it's the same thing at heart.
Yeah, that simplicity sounds like it's really key to the way you work as well. And so what are your biggest challenges in running the business?
Well, it's, I have to be honest that it's been a tough 5 years. I think I decided with much vim and vigor that when my son was not quite a year, that I would set up my own business. You could call it a moment of madness or brilliance. I'm not quite, depending on the day, I'd probably say both. But so balancing what is like another child, setting up the business demanded so much time and energy. Balancing that with being a mum is a daily challenge, and one that I don't always get right. Thinking about the needs of your clients as well as the needs of, so I've got a little team now, making sure that they're okay. There's so much more than just doing the work. And I think pre starting the business, I just thought about the task in hand. I'd come from having management team around me who would do all those other bits, and I just thought I'll be just cracking on doing the work. And of course, you've got the whole setup when you're on your own. So it's a juggle.
Yeah, absolutely. It's being every role in the business, isn't it? When you start out on your own and actually taking every strand of that business and being in charge of all of that. But great that you've got a team around you to support. So what does the future look like for the missus?
We're in quite an exciting time, actually. We have been acquired by one of our clients, which is exciting for us. I'd like to say exciting for them too, which has meant that we're in a bit of a period of growing the team. We've got a lovely new office, and we're ready to, or I'm certainly ready to start thinking about the business a bit more. I think all business owners are guilty of just doing the task in hand, as we said, and not really having the luxury of time to think about, we're doing the right things as a business. What should we do more of, less of, that kind of thing. So I'm excited. I'm excited about the new arrangement, and I'm excited to welcome 2 new starters soon, which will be fantastic. We're a small team. We'll still be quite small, a boutique, I like to say. We're a boutique team, but it's exciting to just share it with more people.
That's wonderful, and the success of actually seeing that growth come will be really exciting as it continues as well over the coming months and years, I'm sure. When you think about success then, Emma, who's the first person that springs to mind when you think of success?
My mum. I don't know if does everybody say that? I'm not sure. I think my mum is a remarkable woman. She was a remarkable career woman. I shouldn't say was. She argues she's not retired, and by her workload still, I don't think she is. But she's someone who I really look up to. Fiercely intelligent, really good work rate. A great mum too, and a lot of fun. And I think I always saw her trying to maintain that balance. And again, it's from day to day, you do and you don't. But if I can emulate some of her success as I see it, then I'll be really chuffed.
Sounds like a wonderful role model for you to have had. And just thinking back then over the years, if you look back to your 18-year-old self, Emma, what advice would you give to your 18-year-old self now, knowing what you know?
or knowing what I know now, never miss an opportunity to go to the pub when you have it, because there'll be a time when you're a parent and you can't just nip in and have that quick half. Yeah, so don't, if you think it's pub versus watching something on telly, get to the pub. There'll be plenty of telly time. But from a business perspective, I think I was, but stay hungry for information, to keep learning. You don't have to have a route at 18. I'm not quite sure I did at 28 or 38. But one thing has been the same throughout, is that I've just wanted to learn all the time. It's definitely something in me. And it helps me with clients as well. The more I expose myself to different things, I feel like I get to understand other businesses. So stay hungry for learning. It's going to stand you in good stead.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I guess from your experience, having decided to take the leap of faith really and set up your own business, for anyone who might be watching this now thinking, I don't know if it's right for me to go it alone and set up, what advice would you give to them?
I think the biggest lesson I've learned is understanding what is good business and what is bad business. And I think it's really, really easy to fall into the trap of being busy, but not understanding whether you are good busy. I was very lucky. I was busy straight out of the blocks. I had just a good few connections and recommendations, which was fantastic. But I was busy straight out of the blocks, and you don't then give yourself a moment to understand whether something is good business, i.e. profitable, is the right type of business in terms of someone once asked me what my sweet spot was, in terms of what I delivered when I was on my own. And I do pride myself on being a bit of a jack of all trades, and I do think that that's a really big plus in today's market. But you have to understand whether the work you're doing actually is furthering what you're trying to achieve, or actually it's robbing you of time and maybe taking you away from what you should be doing. So try, if possible, not to grab any bit of business out there. Take a moment. And I know the financial pressures are there when you start out. You think, great, got some work on. But I think if I had my time again, I'd probably look at each bit of business on its own and think, is this actually going to be profitable? Because otherwise, in terms of time and things like that, it doesn't make a lot of sense to do it. You could be, looking for something that's a bit more aligned to what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a wonderful advice. Thank you so much. And before we wrap up, Emma, if people want to find out more about the Mythers, where should they go to find out more? And are there any particular packages that you want to also just let our watchers and listeners be aware of?
Well, the website is a good start. It comes with the caveat that with our new the new regime, we're going to be having a bit of a freshen up. So I'm really excited about that. But then go to the website, so www.themisses.co, and we're one of those odd companies that's just a .co. But I would say book in a call to have a chat. As I said, I love talking to businesses about what they do. I'm always happy to lend an ear, or to just hear what businesses are doing. For startups, I think if you're thinking about starting a business, talk to someone like me. It's always, I would say, all agencies like me, it's a no obligation chat, and you just get to pick the brains of someone who's done it before, and have some consideration around everything that you'll need as a business. I think we take for granted how much is involved, but book a call in, have a chat. I love to talk.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and wishing you all the very best and all the success in the future with the Mythers. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for your time, Jenny.